Hey friends, hope you're having a great day. I'm Brian Ferry, lead pastor here at CIC, and today we're pausing to reflect on Mark chapter 6, specifically verses 51 and 52. Let's take a look. Then he got into the boat with them, and the wind stopped. And they were utterly astonished, for they had not gained any insight from the incident of the loaves, but their heart was hardened. Really, that's the verse that stuck out to me today. But let me backpedal a little bit and give you some context. Jesus had been with his disciples teaching and serving the crowds. Days elapsed and the food supplies grew scarce. And so, in such a remote place, how would they be able to eat and feed the people? So, Jesus tells his disciples a plan. He comes up with an incredible mealtime prayer, and 5 loaves, 2 fishes are stretched to feed thousands. Now, not only did they eat, but the Bible tells us that they were satisfied. It was an incredible miracle. I wish I was there to see it. And so these guys part ways with the crowds. The disciples are sent ahead by Jesus. They receive an instruction to say, go to the other side. And Jesus withdraws to go pray. Now, here's the immediate context. A storm surges and the disciples are struck in the middle of it. They're right there as they're crossing. Fear sets in. Hope looks bleak. And to add to their terror, they see someone approaching, but not in a boat, rather walking across the sea. I see that in the middle of the night. It's going to be a scary sight. And so they didn't recognize who it was. They didn't know who it was. And Jesus, it says there in the chapter that he was going to walk by them. He was going to walk in sight of them. And so they didn't recognize him. He steps into the boat, and immediately the storm is silenced. Friends, what I like about this verse is the fact that these guys had just been with Jesus. They've seen an incredible miracle. They were used by God to multiply the food. They were used in this process. And yet, at this point in time, when they are in their deep need, they don't recognize that it's Jesus coming towards them. It says that they saw him as if he was a ghost. Come on, who can walk on water, right? And so in that scenario, Jesus, when he approaches, he says to them, you didn't understand what happened with the fish and loaves, huh? Because the deal was with the fish and loaves, that miracle, it wasn't just a multiplication of food. It was a failure to recognize his identity. God himself, Jesus, the Son of God, reproduced, created something where there wasn't enough. He made a miracle happen, and it wasn't just multiplying, he was demonstrating his identity as Lord of all. And these disciples are serving him. I'm encouraged because, nevertheless, Jesus calls them his disciples. These guys don't have it all together. They fail to recognize the important miracle. They're living in fear and lack of faith in the middle of a storm because their master's not with them. And yet these guys are the same ones that when the miracle of the multiplication was happening, it was their hands that was distributing the bread. Jesus blessed it, gave it to them, and used them. It's these guys that Jesus says, I will build my church upon this, upon that confession of faith, Peter, that you've made. I'm going to build my church, but I'm going to use you guys to go do it. You will do greater things. Jesus did incredible things, yet he entrusted greater things to his disciples to go and do and accomplish. I'm encouraged because I will lose faith sometimes. Sometimes I won't have all the answers. Sometimes I am just lacking and I'm living in fear and I'm, dominated by what's happening around me. And yet I don't have to know it all, understand it all, see it all. I need to just obey my Lord and follow him. They said, okay, Lord, we'll go over to the other side. And in that process, the Lord allowed things to happen. And he stepped in, he saved the day, he came to their rescue, but he is excited the fact that these guys obeyed him. The Bible tells us obedience is better than sacrifice. So if you don't have it all together today, just be encouraged and just put one foot in front of the other and ask the Lord, give me strength to just obey you this day. What is he calling you to? Stop and contemplate that. Maybe it's to call someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe it's for you to go and out of your way and do something nice for somebody else. Maybe it's for you to reprioritize some of the things that you know he's putting his finger on because he wants you to spend time with him and appreciate him for who he is, not what he does. God bless you. We'll see you later.